what is an opportunity, how to identify it, how to qualify it, and then I'll give you some basic tools to help you down that path. There's a ton out there, and I will tell you, I am not a technical guy, but you can go to that good old Google and say, give me some tools, and they'll pop up a million things. Just as you well know, there's normally dollars associated to a lot of this. So, next slide, please. Being a college boy, I went right to the definition, and here's what they talk about as 3 definitions of the word opportunity. So, also being the briefer, I get to pick and choose what I want to talk about. So I highlighted a few things that will tie into what we want. Very appropriate is an excellent word for you. Again, stay in your lane, make it appropriate. Don't chase the pipe dreams too quickly, too early, because there's dollars associated with that. Favorable is a nice word. If it feels good and tastes good, I'm an old Army test pilot, and we went to all these schools, but the way I stayed alive was, and this is going to, you're going to laugh at this, the hair on the back of my head, not the top. The hair on the back of my head, if it stood up, something wasn't quite right. That's the same thing for you. If you look at an opportunity real quick and you say, well, I don't quite understand it, or it's not there, that's probably your first indication you're not where your comfort zone is. Again, the goals. Make sure you stay into the goals, and these are important. You want to have whether position, chance, prospect, or advance, or success. That's kind of what you're looking at. Your bottom line, I believe, is to make money. I'll just go out on a limb there. So you want to go after those opportunities that are going to be successful for your company. So, next slide, please. Okay, how do we identify it? You have to have a strategic plan in your company. I don't care if you call it a business plan or path ahead or whatever you call it's fine. But really what it is, it's a strategic plan. It's what you and your company, where you want to get to. What do you want to do? And there's different plans. Some people do the short-term, long-term, the 3-5 years. Some people say dollars. I want to make this much each year. Whatever your plan is, but make sure it's strategic. Your core competencies. I can't tell you enough. You can go after a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot out there. But what's important is you got to have some meat on the bone. When you go to a big guy or a team member, or even to prime yourself, that word past performance will haunt you. It will always be there. You can't get away from it. Now, the favorite thing is the hamster in the wheel. I'm a new company. I'm not a disabled veteran-owned, so I can't use my personal past performance. How do I get it? Well, the bottom line is you've got to get on a team. You've got to get in there and roll your sleeves up. You've got to make yourself value-added, and you've got to get the 1 or 2 seats or the 1 or 2 pieces of the pie and build. It truly is a crawl, walk, run. I think I said once before, unless you've got a sugar daddy out there that says, come on, get over here, take these 20 slots, let me help you out, here's how you get finance. Those are few and far between. I mean, when you find them, they're a godsend. But you don't want to bank the success of your company on that. You want to bank the success of your company on a good, solid plan that you've executed, and it's got some options and variety out there. Networking, can't sell enough. Lunches like this, guys like Dave Knowles, they're critical for you. Sometimes just a handshake and a meet. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 times you met somebody, and they remember and they say, "Ooh, I was at that luncheon over at Grove 29, and I got a card, and that person does consulting for this. Let me give them a call." And in a year from then, you guys are both very successful working as a team or doing something. They're very important. Don't give up your network. Government database, FedBizOps, BizMatch. There's a million of them out there. Now, there are also distractors. If you ever go into FedBizOps and put in, let me pick something, engineering. If you've got another week to read all the options for engineering that's out in the federal business, God bless you. And then all it really does is confuse you. The more I read, the more I go, I'm all over the map. And, oh, this one looked good, and this one looked good. And guess what I've done? I've wasted probably 2 days, don't even have an idea which one I want to chase. Or the best is when a consultant says, I can give you 1,000 opportunities today. Absolutely you can. You can do it too. Go to FedBizOps, put engineering in there, you got them. Doesn't mean anything for you, but a piece of paper with a lot of opportunities listed. So be careful there. Use your time wisely and understand what you're looking for. Try to get those keywords drilled down enough to where it's where you really are going to get some valuable opportunities. Teaming. Get with the big guys or the little guys. All these guys here have AmCom Express, SeaTac, Seaport E. They all have small business primes also. Radiance, my day job. We've been a prime on SeaTac for a million years. We're a prime in AmCom Express. That's very important. And we're successful there because of networking, because we put the right teams on. We're kind of proud that on SeaTac, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've pushed over 72% of the business that we've won to our small businesses. We don't do the work. We get the pass-through, which isn't a lot on CTAP, but it's the networking. Because in other opportunities, we've been able to go back to that company, ABC, that we got the work for and pass through, or they got the work and we kept it there and didn't steal some of it. And it's been a great, because guess what they've done? They just said, hey, Greenies, come work on our team because you took care of us, we're going to take care of you. That's how you survive in this town with that synergy. You can't do it all yourself, trust me. And as a small guy, it's a tough way to push that noodle up the hill. Conferences, symposium, industry days, expensive. How do I pick the right one? I got to tell you, in all my 10 years of doing this since I retired from the military, oh boy, it's more than that. Oops. My 15 years? That's the hairline. Okay. I don't know the right answer. I try to go to things that are in my field or the company's field that make sense, but sometimes I'll fall into like precision weapons systems industry day in Huntsville, and I may go to it. It may have cost me $20 or nothing, and I find something, I network with somebody, or I hear something I didn't know even existed. So it's critical you plan it ahead and don't burn through all that magical pot of money that you have set aside for that, which is normally your wallet in a small business. But it's important. There are a lot of opportunities. You get networking there, you get information. You'll meet the faces to the people. That small business liaison for Boeing will be there. Those kind of folks. And when you go, bring your business cards. Bring that one-page sheet of your mission statement, core competency. You know, introduce yourself. These people are all in the business world. You know, don't be shy. You know, walk up and say, hey, I'm this, and this is what my company does, and I'd like to give you my card, and I'd like to find out how I become a vendor for Boeing. And of course, he's going to hand you a card and say, go to this webpage, it gives you all the instructions and fill it out. But at least you're there. He may remember you. Those guys got great knowledge. Last thing, agencies. I've said it early on. These agencies and many, many more in this town, you can't go wrong. They're there for you. That's what they do. Now, some things are free. Some things they charge because they have to stay afloat. But I'll tell you, they'll help you tremendously. They really will. They'll give you good advice. They've got coaches and consultants. They know how to lead you down. You know, the worst thing you can do as a small business is step in the same pothole and slow yourself down and spend your money that you don't need to. Don't be shy. Find out. Go to them and just say, hey, I need help. And it's not just the startups. It's those guys who've been around 3 to 5 years and need that boost now. They're kind of in that rut and they're just maintaining. Or some of the big boys talk to these guys quite a bit, trust me. They look at this as a place to pick up the small businesses to meet their goals. Next slide, sir. Okay, I'm going to really shoot through these real quick. This is how you need to qualify. This is not the all-inclusive list. There's a million other things. But these are important. First of all, try to get the amount of intelligence. If you've got an opportunity out there that all you're reading is that one Feds bid op page, you don't know what that opportunity is. You're going to know the basic stuff. Try to get intel. Try to dig into your opportunity so you know where it's going and what it means. Do you know about the incumbent? You know, I think the last number I heard quoted was 70 to 72% of incumbents at the government side win add-on contracts. I heard that. The next day we beat an incumbent. So don't be afraid to be on a team against an incumbent or compete against an incumbent. Sometimes the Army likes to change the clothes, change the thing. Sometimes it looks like it's a shoe-in, and sometimes the proposal the incumbent does, because they're complacent, doesn't surpass yours. So don't be afraid of it. I mean, heck, you got nothing to lose but your time and money putting into the proposal. So having said that, identify your best chances to win. So there's some tools you can use. There's some other ways, but really, you want to chase something you got a shot at. I mean, one of my favorite stories: a small a small company, a mom and pop literally working out of their home, wanted to prime disabled veteran owned the Fort Rucker police contract, 24/7, 365 days a year, vehicles, guns, uniforms, sick, union, non-union, you name it. The guy called me and said, Jim, I need your help on this. I said, nah, okay, let me take a peek at it. I read it. 24 hours later, I called him back and said, you can't prime this. You don't want to prime this. You're not going to be able to compete. First of all, you needed like $3.5 million of line of credit to cover 90 days of payroll. There's gun certifications at the state. There's ammo issues. There's trucks and maintenance, and I said, you can't do it. Your capital investment initially was estimated to be $8 million to get him up and running with money in the bank and protect everything until the government started paying him. Plus he had to hire, which a lot of times it's just bad swaps. He had, drug testing and you name it. I said, this is a monster, too big. Now, go find a big guy and as a disabled veteran get on this team and offer a piece, take a piece of it and build your past performance. Plus he had no past performance in that field. We're going. That's excellent. I'll help you when I can, but we're wasting your money. Fine. We red teamed it. Same comments on a red team. You're short here. You got gap analysis all over the place. You need some more guys. You needed about 22 companies under you to do this, and really you're a figurehead. You submitted. You didn't win. The comment was, we don't feel comfortable you can execute this as a prime. I mean, the government's honest with you. They got nothing to lose. So he wasted a lot of money and all that, but it was a lesson learned. But it's not, and that was an easy one for me. And I think anybody in the room could have looked at that and said, that's too big for us. Check the value and appropriate. And what I mean by that, stay within your needs and wants. If you're not an IT company, you probably don't want to prime an IT. First of all, the IT guys are going to do that work. So I'm not saying you may not want to get on a team and provide another service or thing that you do, but you don't want to prime. Investment. You need to always consider early on and best guess what it costs to track it, to write the proposal, to submit it, and then please don't forget to think about, oops, we submitted and we won. And then your ops guy quits because he's on suicide watch if he's got to execute that thing. Oh my God, I got to hire all these people, I don't have HR, there's companies that do that you can call, but you didn't have a plan. Just think about it first. And the way I like to do it is look at it, put together a proposal bid cost, and then sell it to someone else. If you're the guy who makes the decision, bring in a couple other folks. Get a friend that does this. Sit at lunch and say, listen, take a peek at this. What do you think of this plan? Just bounce it off another person. Because you're in the woods at the tree right here. You don't see the whole forest. They might give you some honest, good ideas. If the money doesn't scare you, at least try to justify why you want to do that. And a lot of the small businesses that I've helped, there's always like a 3 or 5 person board that makes the final decision to go after an opportunity. And you go up and sell it to them, just like a car salesman. I want you to buy this, and here's why. And you give them the value and the opportunity all the time. Make sure you review and fully understand the opportunity. Don't just read those first few pages. If the RFP is coming out, which you should already made the decision well before that, understand as much of it as you can. Ask questions. Pick up the phone and call folks at the contracting agency. Those kind of things. Don't be afraid. Eligibility. Can I prime it? What teams can I, or do I want to be on? But also, this is a favorite one. When you go into a government contract, somewhere in the back there'll be a one-line blurb. They'll say, not too important to the government, by the way, the prime must have a top secret security classification for your company. And people are reading and they're saying, okay, 25 slots in Fort Benning and so much of this here, I'm excited, and they miss that line. So they run down the path. And if whoever your person that your capture manager is, that's what they do. They build that compliance matrix, and that line should be in bold. It says, if we don't have one, are we eligible to get one? Now, you can submit the proposal that says, normally, if we're awarded prime, we will apply the form because we need the government document to get it. But make sure your facility, all of a sudden, you've got to sink $150,000 in your facility because it's not set up to be a TS. I need alarms, I need windows, I need these doors, I need locks. Well, now I've just found a cost I wasn't expecting. So please pay attention to some of that. Competitive assessment. See what's out there. Get a feel in the community. Who else is going to bid it? Not just Huntsville. Don't kid yourself about what I'm saying. He reaches out all over the place. So that company in D.C., that little company in Texas, the one in Florida, they're all looking at those same things you're looking at. So get a competitive assessment. And sometimes they'll list it. The industry day always shows everybody that signed up. Interested parties is on FedBizOps, so you can look at them there. Can you come up with a winning strategy? I know in my heart and mind we want to go after this, but how would I win it? What's the philosophy? What makes my company and my proposal better? What makes it readable that they're going to think, hey, I want these guys, this team? Might be the team members. It might be you're the incumbent. It may be that you've got a team that's woman-owned, 8A, disabled veteran, you've got that whole package, and you just look good for them. You alone will set their goals. So that's an important thing. Try to identify the known risks and the mitigations. Please try to anticipate. Sometimes it's good to have one of those downer guys who go, well, you know, we win this. I gotta. Those guys can be value added to the team to a certain extent. I normally listen to them at a bar. So if it gets too much, I just drink more and pay less attention. But there's some diamond in the rough with those guys. They get very down there early on and go, well, we got to have this special guy, and if he doesn't come on board, what are we going to do? Oops, that's a good point. Okay. Establish the timeline and balance it against your plan and assets. What I mean there is you don't know when the RFP is really coming out. Uncle Sam, believe it or not, has a tendency possibly to slide dates a little bit. Up to and including our lifetimes on some things. But when they do, at least have a plan. And I always do this with my customers. I set up an N-hour timeline. It's like good old Army, we're going to launch to hit the beach thing. But whenever that N-hour, which is notification that, okay, here's the true RFP, I've got a timeline. Now, I always do a 30 and a 60-day plan because normally one of those two is how long I've got to respond for a proposal. But in this early phase, estimate a timeline and say, okay, let's say I'm going to have to respond in 30 days. Can I get that proposal done? You know, do I have enough assets within the team or my own? Don't just think it's your own assets. Don't forget to utilize that team. Put them to work early on and find out who your guys are that are willing to roll up their sleeves and find out the guys that want a gravy train ride. Okay? So early on. Next slide, sir. Okay. Questions. These are just a list of questions that I normally ask either the customer that I'm helping or Uncle Sam or whatever I'm doing. Right off, does it fit our business plan? Yes or no? And you know what? You can build, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to show you a little tool we have that we customize for a customer, but that's the kind of thing that you can put up there and give it a quantitative value. If it meets, and you'll see it next, if it meets our business plan, that's a 4. And if it kind of dabbles, it's a 3, 2, and not at all is a 1. So you put some quantitative value and take that personal feeling away from it. When I showed up at Radiance, I was the only guy who wasn't an engineer or scientist. Not really, there's a couple others. But I walked into my first meeting with them, and the question was, I said, well, you know what, guys, we're designing this new thing to put on the Apache, but I can tell you right now, the pilots aren't going to like that display. What? What do you mean? That is the most high-speed technical display we could possibly design. I said, yes, these are Army aviators. They are literally getting in the cockpit, and when a missile's being shot at them, they want the loudest, noisiest, brightest thing to say, missile coming from here, and knowing that the shaft dispenser shot and protected them. That's it. They don't want any high-tech, glow-in-the-dark, fancy stuff. When the crew members get shot at, he wants to know, 3 o'clock, 200 meters, I'm shooting back. That's what he wants. They're very basic guys. They're busy at that time. It's not a time to get into the high speed. I got to process this and say, oh, now I press this button. We had a lot of conversations. So you've got to make sure that you're talking the same language. Okay, who's the incumbent? Can we get on their team? That's always a nice thing. If the incumbent's looking to clean up its team a little bit, they don't always stay with the same teams. Sometimes somebody on their team has matured past that. They're no longer a small business, or they've sold their company and now they're not an 8A, or they've graduated out of the program. So they're looking to replace them maybe with somebody. So talk to the prime. You have nothing to lose. Show up to the prime and say, look, I'm a woman-owned small business, has this little bit of past performance. I've got this, but I'd love to be on your team and work with you and crawl, walk, and run. And sometimes it works out. But you can't go wrong. All you can do is say no. Relationship with the customer. If you have a relationship with the customer, and we're not talking the good old boy network, that doesn't exist. We're talking about, that's a disclaimer. We're talking about, I know what ground command does. I know what the boys at Fort Benning, Georgia do that are putting this out. So I understand their mission, or I know people that work there, that kind of thing. So, relationship with the prime. Find out who are the primes on the Incompetence Press. Do I have a good relationship? Maybe they're going to bid it, maybe they're not. Do we know the customer's goals, issues, and impacts? That's very important. Make sure you understand what they want to do with that opportunity, not what you think they want to do. And the big guys do this a lot. I worked for Sikorsky at one point in time. Sikorsky used to say, we need to go tell the Army that's what they do. Okay. And sometimes the Army go, oh yeah, we need that. Here's money. Other times the Army go, we don't need that. We say, oh, no, you really do. And I relate to that because I've been married 34 years to my lovely wife. And a lot of times I'll say, we don't want to go there, do we? Oh, yeah, you want to go there. I do? Yeah, oh, come on, let's go. And we go. And normally she's right. But you got to make sure you know what their goals and issues, and especially those issues. Because those are things they're going to want you to fix. As that vendor that they've hired, all their problems go away. It's in your court. That's how they do it. Okay, do we know do we have assets, experience, and past performance? That's self-explanatory. Can you get the management's commitment and resources? Very important. Not every small business is, you may be a capture manager, a guy looking at an opportunity, because everybody needs to be that business development guy. But you truly need the guy who owns the money, owns the assets, the people, the equipment, your time, to buy in, to go after that opportunity correctly. The way you do that is you sell him, you present that solid plan with as much as you can be solid at that point in time, and get him on board. Convince him to say, yep, we want to go after that. Now it's his idea, which is fine. It doesn't matter because the paycheck looks the same. So make sure you get their buy-in. If you go down a path after opportunities without that support, it always ends up tough at best. If not, it never makes it. Can I get committed proposal team? Make sure you include what you need in the proposal. Is it going to be other members of the team? Is it just going to be my assets? That's important when you start writing it. Do I have time to keep the opportunity process dynamic, flexible, interactive, and current? I guarantee you, if you're looking at opportunities, today is Tuesday at lunchtime, you'll have 2 opportunities. I got a call this morning from a company and said, hey, we want to go do this. I said, send me the PWS, we'll take a peek at it. I'll look at it on the airplane this afternoon, we'll respond, we'll get involved. Between now and probably next week when they want to talk about it again, there'll be 15 other things I'm doing. But if I've got a plan and I've got a timeline and I can keep it dynamic, I'm flexible because there's going to be that down period that most people drop away from it. I've got to have all that included. Skill sets. To define the structure, capture plan, analysis, development, execution, monitoring. We're not experts in everything. Do I have access to someone who will be the proposal manager? Who's going to manage that if we do go after it? Worst thing is we find a great opportunity, we decide we're going to go after it. I don't have anybody to manage the proposal. Good news is there's companies like my company that do that for you. Don't be afraid to use them. Same with Bill, you guys have them. They're experts in it. And I'll tell you, look at it. Because sometimes, and that's not a sales pitch, but in all honesty, sometimes the money you spend bringing those experts in does a couple things. Frees up your folks. You still got that point of contact guy, the controller of that consultant. But it frees up the rest of your folks. The other thing it does is you're paying them not to step in the potholes, not to waste the time, not to make the mistakes. They should come back in and say, here's what you really need to do. Here's what this looks like. Here's the research you need. Here's your matrix. They offer those things. It's a thought. If you want to do it internal, that's not a problem. That's capability. Make sure you've got those skill sets in the house, or you can get access to them. Because the worst thing you do is get down that path, get to volume 4 and a proposal for pricing, and you just realize, I don't have a clue how to price this thing. So, anyways, when is my critical decision point for an opportunity? Very, very important. Don't chase it on a treadmill until it's too late. You're better off committing, even if you've made a mistake, to say, I don't want to do this opportunity, and then later on you go, wow, I wish I had. Or we're going after it, and you're in that mess, and you're just not going to get there, and you spent time and money. Pick a critical point, a critical decision time. Guys, on April 1st, we're making a decision on this opportunity, because then it gives us time with that timeline to execute and do what we got to do. Stick to it. You know, there'll be more. There's other things going up. If nothing else, take your lesson, learn if you don't do it. And record that. Next slide. Example. Make sure you establish internal customized tools for your company. I preached that early on. There's standard tools you can obviously use, and they work fine, but tweak things. When Shipley teaches stuff, when all these big guys that teach it, they tell you that. Hey, here's our 134 steps for business development from cradle to grave. Pick what works for you out of here and use it. Tweak even that if you want. So it's very important. This is a tool, just a snapshot of one we offer when we sit with our customers. And what we do here is we do a quantitative analysis. So the customer and I sit down and we say, estimated resource to the bid. Well, we'll significantly drain my resources working on other opportunities. That's not good for me. That's a 1 score. We'll drain some of them. That's a 2. Little or no impact on my resources presently. That's a 3. And we use resources currently they're not doing anything anyway. So this is gravy for me. This is even better. So there's a 4. And then the management says, from 1 to 5, I'm giving this element here a level 3. So now we know we got a 4 times 3 equals. There's a quantitative. So at the bottom, when we get through all the important things, probability of win. Another big one we put on there, capital investment. What do I have to spend? You know, and if I'm a small business and I got to spend, $45,000 to get this proposal right and in with everything I got to do, it's a big number. And so that weighs a lot more than a Boeing, you know. And so that's something you want to look at. And what you do is you give a quantitative score and you have a little pyramid. And you say, anything that gets more than 350, we're going after. Anything between 300 and 350, we're going to look a little more at it, tweak it a little more. Maybe we need more intel. Maybe we need to wait a little longer, get some more data. Maybe we slide to another team and try to prime it. And then anything less than that, less than 300, we don't even bother pushing it. Don't waste your time. We're not touching it. So what that does is it cleans out, funnels those opportunities for your folks. Anybody can use this in your organization. You know, any of your managers that hear an opportunity can start plugging some things in here. Their best guess, and some of this is obviously their opinion in a lot of cases. Some is cut and dry, it's numbers. But it's a start, it's a tool that gets you a little bit down that path. Next slide. Capture plan, believe it or not, that's a tool for you. When you do a proper capture plan, it will surface. It will come out of there. The ugliness and the beauty of it will bring out what's good and bad on that opportunity. Because you're doing your homework. You're starting to fill in some pieces of the puzzle. You look at it and go, wow, that's ugly. Or that's beautiful. Market analysis. You combine them. You can go online. Universities, believe it or not, universities are a great source for those kind of things. Those students go out there and draw data from a million places. They're reviewed by professors. They have current data. And a lot of times, they're not biased. They're just collecting it and doing a paper for whatever requirement it is. Go to those universities. Hit up those libraries online. See what you've got. Because there's a lot of good market analysis out there. Here's an example. The Shipleys. They give a 7-phase business development model. It's short and sweet, and it's about this big on a page, and it's got the 7 areas. And it just gives you some points to look at. Use some of those things. They're out there. You can find them. They're not hidden. Databases, tools. Again, FedBizOps. GoWin. It used to be called Input. Now that's one you got to pay for the service. But I got to tell you, if you can invest in it, you should look at it for your company. And there's different levels that you pay for what you do. But if you pay for a higher amount, they'll give you a knocked out market analysis. You know, one of those 72-page documents you have to read, and you wish you never asked for it. But they're in the weeds. They have professionals, that's all they do. This is one of the ones that will definitely pay off for you. Human intelligence. I've never seen, and I'm sure they're out there, but I've never met a successful entrepreneur that was an introvert. All you entrepreneurs are handshaking, gabbing guys just like me and gals. You don't mind shaking a hand and talking to somebody, and you love to talk about your grandkids, your kids, and your business. I mean, your wife and then your business. That costs. I can't recover from that one. Well, you know, you want, so do it, use it. And you get your people. You know, I'll tell you, we found an opportunity one time, guy sitting behind his buddy in church, no kidding. And as Catholic, they turn around and do sign of the peace, and he says, yeah, hey. He says, let's talk a minute after church. He says, where were you guys? You got me. Oh, we've been working this thing. And he said, well, what are you guys doing? Next thing you know, his small business got picked up as a sub on his team. He got 10 slots out in Arizona. Because just, you know, I'm not telling you got to go to church. You know, I'm just saying everywhere. Human intelligence will pay off for you. If you walk the halls at AmCon, if you guys go to classes with other people that work in different businesses and different places in school, your folks always are gathering intel for your company. Next slide. Uh-oh. I don't really mean this, but I'll be polite. You know, is there any real important question I want to ask real quick? Because I know time is... All right. Well, thank you very much. And if you need anything else, let me know.